This entry-level Samsung phone is still enough in 2023, and here's why. Hi, this is Tech, a channel where we appreciate older tech, and if you want to become a member of this growing community, go ahead and subscribe down below. Speaking of older tech, I've been using the Samsung Galaxy M21 for more than 2 years, and I had to make this video to honor it for being such a great device, especially for the price. I purchased it for around $190, which is a bit more than 50,000 Indian rupees, but today I see that you can get it for even cheaper. So what is really special about this phone? To begin with, I love the beautiful 6.4-inch Super AMOLED display with more than 400 pixels per inch, making it very sharp and vibrant. Watching any kind of content is honestly such a pleasurable experience. It is immersive, and combined with a good enough speaker on the bottom, it's a good mobile entertainment device. Staying on the topic of display, one thing you won't find on many phones at this price range is the always on display. Yes, here it is available, and it is highly customizable as well. It can show you the battery percentage, date and time, the calendar, your to-do list, and custom images or GIFs. What I enjoy about it is that I can see my notifications at a glance, and during the night I can check the time without being blinded by the bright lights. Yeah, we won't be turning up the lights in here, baby. Extra bright, want y'all to see this. Also, I haven't noticed a reduced battery performance when using the always on display, and actually the battery is another stronghold of this phone. It has a massive 6000 mAh battery, which is again more than enough for a full day's use. Now keep in mind that I've been using this phone for longer than 2 years, thus the battery health has decreased, yet if I charge the phone in the morning, I have no fear of running out of battery by the end of the day. Ever. Now, only naturally a big display and a big battery, which is really hard to see now on any device anymore, including Samsung's top-of-the-line devices. This warrants a big body, and boy, this phone is big. But what I can admire about it is the build quality. Phones at this price range often come built with plastic, this one included, but the thing about it is that the body is so well built that there's no squeaks or cracks or reflexing of the back lid, so Samsung has done a really great job packing this phone. On the back of it, there is a fingerprint sensor, which I'll get into a bit later, and a triple camera setup in the corner. But before I talk about that, I just want to say that I didn't put a case nor a protective glass on this phone. I really wanted to use it to the max, hence the scratch marks on the phone and some dents as well. But this really all goes to show that even though I've dropped the phone numerous times, yeah, I'm guilty, from various heights and even on concrete, nothing ever happened to it. The display didn't crack. Back to the cameras. Now this setup gives you a 5 megapixel depth camera, a 48 megapixel main camera, and the phenomenal, well, that's maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but it has an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera. And the reason why I said that it's phenomenal, I really like taking photos with that wide angle lens, and it really gives me the ability to capture as much of the scenery as possible. Now, in broad daylight, the camera takes punchy photos with a lot of contrast, with deep blacks and bright highlights. However, sometimes images can look underexposed or overexposed when there's, for example, a bright light source, sun for example, making everything else too dark. Without a lot more talking, let's take a look at some of the shots I've taken with the Samsung Galaxy M21. When it comes to video quality, again, more light means better performance, and it can be really good for you to even film a YouTube video just like I did. I actually think I filmed it with the 20 megapixel front camera, which is more than enough for your social media posts. What I have noticed with the selfie camera is that the post-production, which can be too aggressive sometimes, it makes your eyes look too big and it makes you look cartoonish. Back to the rear camera. There's really not a lot to complain about when it comes to the video quality during the day with this camera. One thing that is a weak point of this camera setup is stabilization, especially if you're shooting at 4K 30 FPS. There is the super steady mode, but it actually worsens the quality of the video itself, so I try to avoid using it whenever I can. If you want a more stable image without using the super steady mode, however, you'll have to record in 1080p at 30 FPS. Personally, I think that it's really impressive that they included a 4K video recording option at all at this price point. So what did you think about the camera? Do you like it? Sound off in the comment section below. On the back, as I've mentioned, there is a fingerprint sensor, but I used to have a lot of issues with it. It simply wouldn't work most of the time until I read somewhere that you should save the same fingerprint from different angles and there are more entries. So if you have issues with your fingerprint sensor, just go ahead and add the same fingerprint multiple times from different angles, and that should solve the problem. Now, before I talk about the biggest downside of this phone, but really of all phones at this price point, let's mention the fact that this phone has a headphone jack, if you're a fan of those, as well as 15-watt fast charging, which does come in handy to juice up this big battery. Also, do you remember when phones used to come with a charger in the box? Well, this one did too, so I appreciate it even though I got the wrong charger meant for the Indian marketplace. And now the biggest downside. What is it? Well, of course, it's the performance. As you can imagine, a phone released in March of 2020, an entry-level device, it can't have everything. So a shortcut was made with the processor, the Exynos 9611, which scores mere 300 points in Geekbench single core and a bit over 1,000 points in multi-core score. Compared to the Samsung Galaxy S21, for example, the scores are 3 times lower. But don't get discouraged. Low-end and mid-range phones can still be just enough for regular users, which, let's face it, at least 60% of people are. It is only if you want to edit some footage, use heavy effects or filters on social media, play hardcore games that you'll definitely struggle. I, for one, can't edit Instagram Reels on this phone because the app simply freezes or crashes and the phone gets considerably warm on the back. I have, however, managed to play Dead by Daylight, for example, which I really love, and with a stutter here and there and a dropped frame as well, it's manageable. Now, some other cons of the phone are the weight and the size, which definitely isn't for everyone. And personally, because of this sheer size, it makes it an uncomfortable device. Without exaggeration, my hand gets so tired and cramped after using the phone for a while. The second con is also that you will have to wait pretty long to receive substantial software updates from Samsung. It was relatively recently, actually, that I received the One UI 4 update, while Samsung's high-end devices already have One UI 5.1, which means that some software features won't be available and software optimization is generally weak. Now, of course, the M21 doesn't have Samsung DeX either, but that's really not something that we can objectively criticize it for, again, considering the price. In conclusion, we can safely say that the M21 is a solid device for its price. My favorite features are the beautiful display, the always-on display option, and the customization that comes with having an Android. If you aren't that keen on playing intense games and editing short videos on your phone, you shouldn't have issues with having a similarly spec'd device. I know I've been plenty happy using it, and with that, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and join our community of tech lovers here on YouTube. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.